Hi guys, and welcome to day 3 of our 14-day challenge. I hope you're feeling good after what we did yesterday with our glutes and definitely what we did the day before with our core. I can definitely feel what we worked. Today, continuing with body parts, today we're going to be working on our hip flexors, so what help us lift and lower our legs, and our hamstrings, so the backs of our legs. Both of which I would say are incredibly important for you to work on, in particular if you want to progress in your journey towards splits. So if you are really interested in what we do today and want to take it further, I have taught several classes up on Kula that are specifically about the hip flexors. And actually for those, I did the hip flexors and the inner thighs. But for today, it's all about those hip flexors and our hamstrings, and it's gonna feel great. We're gonna start lying down on our mat. And I want you to come into your full Shavasana, so your corpse pose, legs go long. Just taking a moment here to just kind of find your space, to settle in. And because we don't have much time, I'm going to have us dive straight in. So bringing your right knee in towards your chest. Now, as you bring the knee in towards your chest, I'd like you to point your toe and really squeeze it in without using your hands. And then draw that knee out towards the side. Flex your foot. And as if you're pushing through mud, slowly lower that leg back down. We repeat the same thing again. So bring the knee in towards the chest. Draw it out to the side, flex the foot, slowly push down, point the toes, draw it in, out to the side, flex the foot, press down, come back to center. Now lift yourself up coming onto your forearms, and we're just going to start to wake that right hip flexor up. So pointing your toes, we lift the leg and lower, lift, lower. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release, come to lie down. Super easy. Other side. Draw that right knee in towards your chest, point your toe, bring it out to the side, flex your foot as if you're pushing through mud. We slowly lower down, come back to center. Knee to chest, squeeze it in, out to the side, flex your foot, press down, point your toes one last time, knee to chest, out to the side, slowly press and release. We lift up onto our forearms. Once again, we point our toes and just lift and lower, lift, lower. 7, 6, 5, 4, my hips always crack. 3, 2, and 1. Release yourself back down. All right, guys, let's hug our knees in towards our chest. Little rock to side, from side to side. And then hands under knees, we rock and roll forwards and backwards. Allow yourself to massage the spine, to use your core. And on the next rock forward, without crossing at the ankles, plant the feet and come into a forward fold. So option to have the feet hip distance apart in your forward fold. Try not to go too deep. So relax the head and the neck. If it feels okay to you, maybe you grab onto opposite elbows. Now if you're grabbing onto those opposite elbows, maybe finding a little bit of a shoulder opening here, so reaching the elbows away from the body or fingertips to the ground. What I'd like you to be mindful of in your forward fold is our tendency to push the hips back. So I'd like you to shift the body weight forward, recognizing that the more that we flex into our feet, the deeper we stretch into the backs of the legs. However, because we have not warmed the body, I would ask you to be mindful of not overstretching. Sometimes when we overstretch our hamstrings, that's when we get something called yogi butt, which is when we pull into the tendon, I believe, which becomes really painful and takes a really long time to heal. So just gently, maybe you sway, bend one knee, bend the other. Lovely, guys. Start to roll yourself up, vertebra by slow vertebra. Head and neck are the last things that come up. As they do, take the shoulders up, back, and down. I'm just going to check really quickly. All right, I did have that right. Okay, guys, so in order to warm up, I'm just going to take us through a very slow walkthrough of Surya A to bring us to the back of our mat into downward facing dog. Let's do this twice. We're going to do it on the right and then on the left-hand side. So bring your hands to prayer at heart center. Maybe close the eyes for a moment. Feel how the body might sway. Spread the toes nice and wide. Engage the legs. Draw the belly in. Relax the shoulders. Press into the palms of the hands. And then gently blink the eyes open. And we begin. Sweep the arms high to the sky as you inhale. And then exhale. Forward fold to the ground. Get a nice stretch through the backs of the legs. Inhale to that long spine. So either come onto your fingertips or hands to shins. And exhale, plant the hands. Step your left foot back behind you. I'd like you to release your left knee down to the ground. Take a moment here to really drop into the hips. So you'll feel the stretch into that left hip flexor, but once again, we haven't really warmed up. Come on to the fingertips, shift your weight back, straighten out through that right leg. So we want to energetically pull that right heel towards the body, so we square off through the hips. And then inhale, bend through that right knee, plant the hands, find your plank position. Take an inhale in your plank position. As you exhale, lower your knees, your chest, your chin, or your forehead to the ground. Gently tuck the pelvis, ripple out through the spine, open up through the chest. We squeeze the palms back, elbows in, and then tuck the toes, hips towards your heels, downward facing dog. We inhale, reach the right leg high to the sky. Exhale, right foot steps between your hands. Same thing again, release your left knee down to the ground. Really sink into those hips. Maybe you come onto your fingertips as we start to shift the body weight back. Make sure the right toes point high. We flex through the right foot. Inhale, shift the body weight forward. Step your left foot to meet the right. We find our long spine as we inhale. And then exhale, forward fold, relax the head and the neck. Sweep the arms high. We press down to lift up. I'm going to hit my head one of these days. Inhale. Exhale, hands to heart center. We're going to do the left-hand side. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. We hinge from our hips. Inhale, lift the gaze, lengthen out through the spine. And then exhale, plant the hands. This time the right foot steps back behind us. Lower the knee. Really sink into those hips. Give yourself a little stretch. And then come onto the fingertips. Maybe walk the hands back as you find your half splits. Flex the foot, toes reach up. Heel pulls back. Inhale, bend into that left knee. Plant the hands. Step the left foot back. Find your plank position. And as you exhale, release the knees, the chest, the chin, or the forehead to the ground. Tuck the pelvis, round out through the spine. Open the heart. Inhale. Tuck the toes, hips to heels, downward facing dog. Exhale. Left leg to the sky. Inhale. Exhale, left foot in between your hands. Release the right knee. Really sink into those hips. Open the chest. Shift the body weight back. Find your half splits. Bend into that left knee. Step your right foot to meet the left at the top of the mat. Inhale to a long spine. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, root to rise. Sweep the arms high. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, let's make our way into downward facing dog. So let's just inhale, arms up. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, nice long spine. Exhale, step back into a downward facing dog. All right, take a moment in down dog to get comfortable. We'll pedal out the feet, bend one knee, bend the other, sway the hips, shake out the head. Anything you need to get comfortable here. We take one more breath. Now that was a bit flowy. I'm going to take us into a little bit more of some drills, but I will move us through a flow in order for us to get there. So inhale, reach your right leg high to the sky. Exhale, right foot. How do I want to do this? Yeah, let's start somewhat challenging. You guys are like, oh God. Right leg to the sky. Bend the knee, open up the hip, and then I'd like you to slowly take your right foot behind you and find Wild Thing. So in Wild Thing, the right knee is bent, the left leg is long. We press the hips up, engage the glutes, open the heart, and lengthen out through that right arm. As you exhale, lower your hips down to the ground. So I realize that we are off our mat, so if you want to scooch back on, please feel free to, although we will be making our way back once again. Now, I did this once with Hannah Barrett as we did a flow about our hip flexors together. It's quite challenging, I'm not going to lie. So see how it feels. I want you to bring your hands behind you. We're going to come into a reverse tabletop. But as we come into that reverse tabletop, our left leg is long. So we lift the hips, keep that left leg where it is, really try to squeeze into the glutes, externally rotate through those shoulders, lift ourselves up, point your left toes, and we're gonna lift the leg and lower. Lift and lower, you've got this. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now we're gonna take it one step further, but I want you to lower your hips just to take a break, because I know that our glutes are already like, we just worked our glutes yesterday. So this is a little combination. You will feel it in your glutes, but you're definitely working through that left hip flexor. Now this next exercise, also hip flexor related, but it will take us a little bit into our obliques. Please only go as far as feels right. If it's too much for you at this stage, just come back to what we just did, or allow yourself to take a little stretch and a forward fold. All right, guys, make sure that you have sort of a strong standing with that right foot in your hands. We're gonna come back into that reverse tabletop, but this time you're gonna shift your weight into your left hand, right foot, and bring your right hand behind your head. See if you can lift up a little higher, and we exhale, crunch and lengthen. Woohoo! Crunch and lengthen. You've got this. Crunch, lengthen. Whoa! Crunch. The balance is hard. Lengthen. 2 more. Crunch, lengthen, crunch, lengthen, and lower. I actually really feel that in my right glute after yesterday's class. Shift your weight back if you moved onto your mat, because we're going to come back onto our mat. So I want your left hand to be on the left corner of your mat. Press into the left side of your body. Come back into your Wild Thing. And then exhale. Bring your right foot to the top of the mat. Release the right hand, release the left knee, arms float up to the sky. So Anjaneyasana, our lovely Anjane, is the name of the pose if you're like, what is she talking about? So it's our low lunge. But in our low lunge, there's a few things I want you to consider. So I like having the back toes tucked, again for grip, because it's really important to squeeze the feet towards one another. So a lot of times what happens in our low lunge is that we want to shift our body weight and come down. We want to shift our body weight forward, but continue to lift up. And notice how as you do that, you get an even deeper stretch into that left hip flexor, which feels really, really nice. We're going to take one more breath here, and then release the hands down to the ground. Step your left foot through. If you cannot step your left foot through, just bring your feet together. Allow that left leg to go long. Oh, all right, so that was quite a bit already. Now, with where we are, I want you to bring both of your legs out long, but maybe create a little bit of space in between your legs. And we're gonna bring our hands, right hand in between our legs, left hand on the outside of our left leg. So a lot of this we're doing on the left-hand side, and then we'll do the right-hand side on the next bit of our round. Okay, so a lot of times as we do these exercises, the body wants to shift its body weight back. See if you can challenge yourself to come forward. Point your toes, and we're going to lift that left leg and lower. Lift and lower. This can be really intense. You might cramp. We continue for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1, release the leg back down. All right, bend that right knee once again. Let's give ourselves a little bit of a stretch. So right arm floats up to the sky, reaching towards that left foot, but we're gonna wrap that right arm behind us. Maybe if you can, left arm behind you, we grab our hands and just start to forward fold here. So taking a little stretch into the back of that left leg, flexing into the left foot as much as you can, trying to keep the sole of the foot facing forward. Slowly we release, lift ourselves back up, plant fingertips onto the ground, shift your weight up and step that right foot back. All right, this one becomes a little more challenging. If you have blocks, I suggest that you try to use it. You can either keep your hands on the floor, so we're just gonna move through straightening out that right leg and bending the knee. The harder option is that you float your arms up towards the sky, come into your high lunge, and then we straighten the leg and hover the body. Arms float back. Inhale, bend into that right knee, arms up. Exhale, straighten and hover. Let's do that one more time. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, bend into the right knee, arms to the sky. Exhale, hands to the floor. Right foot steps back. Purely optional vinyasa. If some of you guys are like, I'd like to work that upper body a little bit while we focus so much on our legs. And we move straight on to the left-hand side. Left leg to the sky as you inhale. Exhale. I did it again. Bend the knee, open up the hip. We're gonna find wild things. If you'd like to shift your weight back onto your mat, please feel free to do so. We lift the hips, we open the heart, squeeze those glutes, and then slowly release yourself down onto the ground. Facing the back of our mat, fingers pointing towards your feet. We're coming into our reverse tabletop. So press into that left foot in your hands, lift the hips nice and high, point your right toes, and we're gonna lift and lower, lift, lower. For another 5, for 4, 3, 2, 1, and bring it down. All right, this is where it gets challenging, mostly because of our balance. If you want to play with it, please do so. Otherwise, any variations you'd like to take just while we go through these. Lift the hips up once again. This time, bring your left hand behind your head, and we crunch. See, we all fall and lengthen. Crunch, lengthen, crunch, lengthen, crunch, lengthen. Let's do that one more time. Crunch and lengthen. Oh. Falling's how we learn. We pick ourselves back up and try again. If you're on your mat, shift your weight over towards the left-hand side as you face the back of your mat. Right hand to the upper right corner of your mat. We're going to come back into that wild thing and then step your left foot to the front of your mat. Release your right knee down. Arms float up to the sky. Anjaneyasana. So again, find that nice alignment that allows you to shift the body weight forward, but squeezing the feet together, squeezing those inner thighs, stabilizing the pelvis, and then really lifting upwards so you get that beautiful stretch into your right hip flexor. It feels really nice. Remember to always keep ribs and belly drawing in, shoulders externally rotated. We take one more breath here. Fingertips to the ground. Right foot's gonna step through, and we come to seated. Again, if you can't step all the way through, bring your feet together, sit down, and allow that right leg to go long. Lengthen out through that left leg. Our hands this time are over to the right-hand side. So pointing both of your feet, left hand in between your legs, right hand outside your right leg. We're gonna lift and lower, lift and lower. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release it down. It burns. Bend into that left knee. Left arm reaches up towards the sky. Reach your left hand towards your right toes, and then see if you can wrap that left arm around your left knee. Right hand behind, really flex into your right foot, and then allow the chest to lower down towards that right leg. So slowing everything down, giving ourselves A nice little stretch. Beautiful. We've got construction next door, so I apologize again because I can hear even, every single day. All right, slowly lift yourselves up. That's the beauty, though, of yoga and meditation is you really have to teach yourself to zone these things out. Hands either side of that left foot. We press into the hands, step the right foot back. Now remember, you can either keep your fingertips on the ground or on blocks as we move to straighten that left leg, or you can bring your hands up and come into your high lunge. So with our high lunge, we're squaring off through the hips. We take an inhale as you exhale, straighten that left leg, squeeze the feet towards one another, palms reach back, chest hovers, and then we inhale, bend, and reach up. Exhale, straighten and hover. Inhale, bend, arms up. Last one, guys. Straighten that left leg, hover the chest, arms float back. We're going to take our inhale to bend into that left knee, hands to the floor, optional vinyasa, meet back in a downward facing dog. Beautiful, guys. Find your breath. Slow that breath down. We're going to take a lovely inhale where we are. As you exhale, bend your knees, look forward, step or jump to the top of the mat. Inhale to a long spine, and exhale, we fold. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right. This is one of, I want to say favorite, least favorite hip flexor exercises in our standing postures. So Ekapada Padangustasana, so when we grab our toe and lift our leg out in front of us. A lot of times with our yoga postures, what happens is that we're holding on to body parts, so it becomes a bit of a passive engagement of the muscle. So I'd like everyone to bring their right knee in towards their chest and then release that right knee. All right? I'm like, let's take it a little bit further. So right knee in towards your chest. I want you to point your toes back behind you as you lengthen the leg out and then draw the knee back up. We point, bring it back, point, bring it back. Let's do that 2 more times. Point, back up, point, back up. Now here's where it gets really mean. However far or high your leg goes, I'd like you to straighten that leg out and bend your knee. Straighten the leg out, bend your knee. Straighten, bend, straighten, and bend. This time I want you to straighten and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, woo, lower it down, give yourself a little shake. Releasing any of that tension, really feeling the burn in that right hip flexor. We're gonna do the other side. So drawing that left knee in towards your chest, and then bring it back behind you as you straighten. Bring the knee in, bring it back and straighten. Knee in, straighten, knee in, straighten. This time bring your knee in and hold. We're gonna straighten it forward and bend. Forward and bend. Forward and bend. Forward and bend. This time we're gonna straighten and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. Release it back down. Now, believe it or not, we got 5 minutes left of this. So I'm going to take us into our splits because I know a lot of us like working these muscles as we aspire towards something. So take a forward fold at the top of your mat, and let's just take our left leg back behind us as we did at the beginning. Lower that left knee down. Now, before we go into our splits, I might even ask you to bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand, and let's take a moment in our lizard lunge. It's really important to acknowledge a lot of times when we're working on our splits, what we assume tends to be the problem is that our hamstrings are tight. But a lot of us have no issue in our forward fold, which would imply that it's actually our hip flexor on the leg that's behind us that is usually the one that is tight. And that makes a lot of sense when you consider that we spend our days sitting down. So that hip flexor is shortening, it's tightening up anytime that we're in a stressed situation. It's the hip flexor that's reacting as a muscle. So taking a moment to stretch that muscle out in a posture like lizard or Anjaneyasana can do a lot to help us as we move into our splits. All right, so bring that right foot back to center. Shift your body weight back, straighten out through the right leg. Open the chest and release yourself down. So now we're going deep into the hamstring, especially if you maintain the length in your spine. So the moment you start to round out, notice how the stretch loosens up here, but gets stronger in the back. So see if you can maintain that length in the spine, flexing through the foot. Maybe you stay here, and that's absolutely fine. If you would like to go further, right leg slides forward, left leg back, and we breathe. It's really important to breathe here. Every inhalation's creating space. Every exhalation's allowing us to go a little bit deeper. If you're in your full splits, we're going to try to find some kind of glamorous way to slide that right leg back. Everyone in half splits, we bend into that right knee, step the left foot forward. Give ourselves a little moment in that forward fold. Notice how different our legs feel. And let's allow ourselves to change sides. Right leg reaches back. We bend into, we lower that right knee. Heel toe your left foot to the outside of your left hand. And take a moment in your lizard lunge. Feel free to move so that you can really sense where you feel things in your body and what it is that you want to be feeling. Always shying away from anything that is painful, but trying to find that edge of discomfort. And once you find that sweet spot, maybe seeing if you can hold it for a moment and allow yourself to surrender into the posture. We take one more breath here. And then heel toe the left foot back to center. Shift your body weight back and find Ardha Hanuman, half splits. So right hip is on top of right knee. Left foot is flexed, chest is open, belly draws in, and then belly and chest draw down as we maintain that length in the spine, energetically pulling that left heel in towards us to get a lovely stretch through the back of that left leg. Option to stay here, option to slide left leg forward, right leg back, and we breathe in either Ardha or full Hanumanasana. Notice where your mind goes when things get hard. Can you bring it back to your breath, to this moment? Let me take one more breath in our splits. Slowly start to draw left leg back if you're in full splits. We all bend our knee, plant the hands, come back into a downward facing dog. So instead of going to the top of the mat, we're going to make our way into a downward facing dog. Okay, so we're going to stretch it out before we get to the end of our practice. I'd like you to reach your right leg high to the sky. Bring your right foot in between your hands. And once again, step your left leg through to seated, however you're able to get there. Now, I would like you to grab onto your right ankle and slide your right heel behind you so that you're bending into your right knee. Now, please be mindful if you have any knee injuries to stay away from this pose. And if anything, find a posture, maybe like camel, where you can really open up into those hip flexors. But otherwise, we're going to do this lying down. So left leg is long, right knee is bent. And I just want you to walk your hands back. So maybe you lower onto the forearms. As you press the right knee down, I want you to really push. So it's almost like you're pushing your hip up, but you're trying to get the knee down and the hip down and just really trying to lengthen out. I do feel a press upwards, but I'm not lifting anything off of the ground because then I lose that stretch. So it's this weird dichotomy that we get a lot in our yoga practice of pulling down and pushing up at the same time. Taking one more breath here. And then slowly lifting ourselves up. grabbing that ankle, bringing it back. And let's just change sides because we don't have a lot of time. So bend that left knee, allow the right leg to go long. Again, if you want to come onto your shins because you struggle with knee issues, please vary as need be, but otherwise grab onto that left ankle. Bring the left foot behind you so we're in a half hero pose, and then start to walk the arms back. Option to stay on the forearms, option to lie down onto your back, but just find a posture that really allows you to stretch into that hip flexor. Beautiful, guys. Construction noise is coming back, but it's all good. Hopefully with this mic, you can't hear a lot of it. All right, taking one more breath here. And then slowly we lift ourselves up. We're going to bend into both of our knees, reach the arms forward, chin to chest, allow yourself to roll gently down. Hug your knees into your chest, give yourself a big old squeeze. And then either come back into Shavasana, so our corpse pose where we started our practice, or move on to whatever else it is that you're going to be working on for your day today. That is it for day 3. I look forward to seeing you for day 4. Tomorrow we are going to work on a yoga flow. I'm going to try to do a fluid flow, so one breath, one movement for 30 minutes. It means that we'll be working off of a ladder flow, so kind of finding a base sequence and then each round adding something else. It feels very choreographed, very dancey. I hope you guys enjoy it. Have a lovely rest of your day and see you tomorrow.